Team coverage continues now of the governor's State of the State address. Quick turnaround for Joe Fleming here late last night, back again this morning.
The man who never sleeps. So first, Joe, it was a long speech. You were up late. It was over an hour. What do you make of that?
It was a very long speech. I've been listening to these speeches for many years. It's the longest one I have ever heard. The governor spent a lot of time recognizing people who contributed in the state of Rhode Island. He got his points across in the speech, I believe, talking about the economy, talking about education, two of his big things. So I think he accomplished what he wanted to do. The question is how many people watched it all the way to the end?
So, yeah, this is the opportunity for the state's leader to tout all of the accomplishments, all the positive news, and he touched on the state of education. Very pleased with some of the test scores in the state this school year.
Absolutely. That's his big thing. He said that in English and language arts, we closed the gap with Massachusetts by 34%. With math, we closed the gap by 18%. These are things people like to hear. They want to see improvements in the school. He talked about attendance in the schools, how more kids are coming to school now. When they're in school, they're learning, and these test results show that. So this is a big plus for the governor.
Yeah, we know education is always top of mind for voters, but also these past couple of years, especially this past year, has been the Washington Bridge. It was mentioned briefly, but considering it's what's on everyone's mind, what did you make of how he addressed that?
Yeah, I think he tried to basically defend the bridge on what has happened, how he had inherited some of these things that just didn't happen overnight. The problem is that people have a very negative opinion about the bridge, and they're very concerned about what the governor has done. And the thing is simply, you know, he was trying to give all the facts. People are looking at the perception. The perception is the bridge is a problem. I think he needs to do more to explain what's going on the bridge, give some timetables of when the bridge is going to be done. That may not be around yet, but he needs to come up with some ideas to let people know what's happening and progress is being made.
But last night, certainly not the forum where he wanted to discuss that sort of situation. But he did want to talk about helping people make more money, and he has his goal of raising incomes by 2030. What's this all about?
Well, again, he's talking about raising people's incomes. He said in the third quarter the economy went up 3.6% on Rhode Island, which was higher than the national average. So he's saying that we're making progress. We need to educate the workforce in Rhode Island to get them to get these higher paying jobs and get increased income. And he's trying to show right now that after the first couple of years of doing it, it's working. He has 5 more years, but a lot of it's tied with the national economy. What happens?
And we're going to be talking more with you about the economy and his budget he's set to roll out pretty soon this week. We'll be talking to you again at 7:30 over on Fox Providence.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
And our team coverage of Governor McKee's State of the State continues now. 12 News political analyst Joe Fleming joins us in studio this morning once again.
Morning, Joe.
Morning.
So obviously this is the platform for any elected official to tout their achievements. And focus on the positive. State of education in Rhode Island, obviously one of those positive things that the governor spoke about last night.
Yeah, no question. Education has always been key for Dan McKee, even when he was mayor of Cumberland. He has spent a lot of time in education. He talks about really improving test scores in Rhode Island, and he was trying to show that last night. He showed the gap between Massachusetts and Rhode Island test scores have closed. English and language arts, they closed by 34%. On math, they closed by 18%. He talks about attendance in the school systems, bringing the school kids in school. If they're in school, they'll do better, and the test results show that. So he's really trying to become an education type governor, and that's one of his points that he wants to get across to the citizens of Rhode Island.
He also briefly mentioned the Washington Bridge, but this has been something on the top of mind of Rhode Islanders for the past year, more than a year now. So what do you think his takeaway was, and the takeaway that viewers should get from that listening?
Well, I think what the governor was trying to do was explain what's happened over the last couple of years of the Washington Bridge. They inherited some of this, some of these problems have developed over the years, and it came to a crisis at this point, and he's trying to deal with it. The problem is that citizens of Rhode Island see a lot of problems there because the traffic's so backed up, and they're getting tired of all that. But the governor's trying to get out there to explain what happened and what they're going to do going forward and how they're going to pay for it.
So everybody wants to make more money, and the governor announced some initiatives continuing his goal. Hopefully raising incomes for as many folks as possible by the year 2030.
That's his 2030 program. He wants to get people's income up as a result of that. Education is a big part of that to bring the income up. He said in the third quarter, the economy grew by 3.6% in Rhode Island, which is higher than the national average. So he's saying it's working. It's going to take another 5 years to bring people's incomes up, but he has a plan in place. And again, he's trying to show Rhode Islanders, I may not be glitzy, but I'm getting the job done. You may not see it all.
But we're also seeing that there's likely a $300 million deficit, and the governor is expected to release his budget tomorrow. So what will we take away from that?
That's going to be the key. How is he going to balance the budget? He's also talking about some new expenses. He's had another $40 million for aid to education at local city and towns. So there's over a $300 million hole. How is he going to fill that? He's saying no income tax increases, but where is he going to get the money from? Is he going to cut programs? Is he going to raise fees for certain things? We're going to find that out tomorrow. But again, keep in mind, the General Assembly, once they get the budget, they could do what they want with it. And they have some of their own pet programs they're going to want to see in the budget.
All right, we got to go. Long speech last night, huh?
Very long, longest one I've ever heard.
You've heard a lot of them.
Oh, I have.
All right, thank you, Joe, so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Sure.